What time is it? All time! What time is it? All time!
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Joe Habib. We got a great show for you today. If you want to call and ask questions, 323-870-3857. Let's get started with it. On DAZN, Jesse Bam Rodriguez versus Juan Francisco Estrada for Estrada's WBC super flyweight belt, man. Jesse Bam Rodriguez knocks out Juan Francisco Estrada with a body shot. One of the worst body shots you'll ever see. That thing was wicked. Bam started out fast, man. He was landing the bigger shots. I thought he was landing them consistently. He was controlling the action. I just thought it was kind of Bam from the get-go, man. And not that Estrada wasn't not that he wasn't fighting or, trying his best out there. He was just outgunned in there, man. Younger, stronger, guy. I mean, with Bam Rodriguez, man. Fourth round, Bam knocked Estrada down with a straight left hand. Estrada was able to pull it together, floored Bam in the sixth. Now, it looked to me like in that sixth round, I don't know what it looked like to you, B, but it looked kind of like an off-balance shot to me.
Flash knockdown.
It was definitely a knockdown. Don't get me wrong. It was definitely a knockdown, but it was definitely, an off-balance flash type of knockdown, man. Bam got up, looked like he won the rest of the round. He was actually winning the round prior to that. But hey, man, I still gave him a 10-8. I still gave Estrada a 10-8 round. Listen, it's a knockdown. It is what it is, man. In round 7, it was more of the same, and Bam caught him with a picture-perfect left to the body. Listen, if you have not seen this knockout, go watch it. You're not going to see a better. It was kind of reminiscent of the Hopkins De La Hoya body shot. You watch any of Julio Cesar Chavez's fights, senior, not junior, senior. Those left hooks he would put in the body. It was just beautiful, and it hit him picture perfect right on his liver. You could tell because of the way he went down and the way he could not get back up. You could tell he wanted, with every fiber in his being, he wanted to beat that count. He couldn't. That liver shot landed flush, son. The referee stopped counting and waved off the fight. So Bam Rodriguez, as we all expected, won the fight. And as I expected anyway, it was a one-sided fight. It seemed to me to be a one-sided fight. Estrada looked just a little bit slower to me. And you know what I noticed in the very first round? You watch this in the very first round, first, second rounds, right? You'll see Estrada throw a shot, like go to his body and just kind of overextend himself and just stay there for a split second longer than he should have. And Bam just took advantage of him all night in those same spots. Yeah. The same exact spots. You see him stretch out a punch and he stays there. You know what I mean? He just kind of overextends, and that's how you know your reflexes aren't what they used to be, where he saw those shots coming, but the reflexes are not there anymore.
Well, that was the big difference, obviously, is the speed. And even in the Sonny Edwards fight, Bam looked like he was quicker than Sonny Edwards too. I think Bam is just exceptionally fast, very explosive, keeps that jab in your face, doubles and triples it up, keeps you occupied, kind of blinds you. And while you're preoccupied with that, he's right in your chest before you even know it. And then when he does get on the inside, and he's just so fluid with those combinations up close, particularly that left hook to the body and the head and that right uppercut up close, he runs those combinations while he's in your chest, and then he just turns you. And while he's
so fast.
Yeah, while he turns you, he's like not that far out of range where he can't just quickly reset and jump right back on your ass and get in your chest again. He'll either step around you, turn you. He's just a handful. And he's so good at cutting off the ring because he anticipates where you're going to go. He cuts off those escape routes, and he beats his opponent to the spot before they even get there. His instincts are impeccable. He's just an all-around smart fighter. He's athletically gifted with the speed. He's got power. He's explosive. He can fight on the inside. Even for a small guy, he can hold his own on the outside because he's got such a great jab, and he knows how to use it. And he's very consistent, and he's very effective with it. And that jab is not just a punch to set up shots. That jab is like a telephone pole. It knocks guys off balance. His jab is sometimes like another guy's right hand. That's how powerful it is. So
yeah,
Bam is just
he's a different guy.
Yeah, he's just a great guy, man.
Different kind of guy.
He's so sneaky with that left hand, man. It's like a guided missile.
You know what? And you brought up a really, really good point talking about Bam's speed, because, and I understand Gallo's 34. I get it. Bam is fast. We know this, right? You talked about him being faster than Sonny Edwards. I think, what I think about is that, like, because he's so known for his power, you forget about the speed. You forget that his footwork is like almost second to none. Somebody in the chat had said, is his footwork better than Loma's? I don't know. That's a tough out. That's a tough thing to do. I would say Loma's got some of the best footwork you've ever seen, but Bam's right there too. He does basics. Again, I always say
different
everybody
styles.
I coach, everybody, I always say this to them. If you want to learn something, anything, learn the basics very well. Before you branch out and do crazy stuff, learn the basics, master the basics, and really everything else comes from there.
Well, the thing is this, Loma moves more, but Bam is just more efficient with his movement. You know what I mean? So a lot of times people will think because a fighter moves more, they have better footwork.
Yeah.
And Bam is just a little bit more efficient. They're both southpaws, obviously. So, they have some similarities in the way that they're very fluid combination punchers, and they know how to outmaneuver their opponents, right? And they're very quick on their feet, both of them. But Loma just moves a little bit more. He uses more of the ring, where Bam kind of moves, but he just uses a lot of subtle movement, just turns you just enough to get out of range, and he doesn't get too far away from his opponent, where Loma would just sometimes go all the way out and kind of circle you. But Loma can fight up close in the pocket. He really can. So got to give him credit. So Loma can grind it out on the inside a little bit when he wants to. He definitely did that against George Kambosos.
All right. So inevitably the question was asked, and I was thinking about it as well. Tom asked, how about Inoue versus Rodriguez? Inoue versus Bam. Inoue's 21. What is it, 122? Bam just moved up to 115, didn't he?
Yeah. Bam's a little too small for Inoue, I think. I'm not sure that he'll ever catch him. Because Inoue will go up to 126 eventually. I think Inoue will always just be a little too big for Bam. But who knows, when Inoue gets up there in age, Bam may decide to, do that fight at some point down the road. But Bam is what's Bam, like 24 years old? Yeah. He's a young kid.
Inoue, I tell you, Inoue, I think he's capped, though. I really do. I think he's going to be capped at 126 will be his cap. I don't think he can go any further. That's just, what I think. So, I mean, maybe he surprises all of us and pulls a Manny Pacquiao. Who knows?
Yeah.
Beeb, let's talk about these scorecards real quick, though. I was shocked, and I just found this out just a few minutes ago when you brought my attention to it. Go over those scorecards, will you?
One judge had Bam up, the other judge had Estrada up, and the other judge had it a draw.
How on earth?
Yeah.
Did you have Estrada up on that fight?
I only gave Estrada one round. I gave him
the knockdown round. That was it. That was it.
Yeah.
I don't know how. The judge from Mexico gave him just about every round. And then the judge from Canada, the U.S. judge had, what's his face, Bam winning. But the judge from Canada had a draw. Yeah. How? What fight are you watching? Are you kidding me?
It's crazy.
That's insane.
I couldn't believe it.
Tony Eo says, what about Chocolatito versus Bam? Stop it. That's a mismatch too.
Yeah,
he's old, man. He's done. Gallo, Chocolatito, they're done right now. They're not going to be able to compete with this guy. You want to give him a last payday? Go ahead and give him a last payday, man. But Bam will get him out of there.
Yeah.
Okay, so did that main event start at 1 o'clock? Because I caught it today, but I didn't. Did it start at 1 o'clock in the morning? 1 a.m. Maestro said 1 a.m.
No, I think it got over at about. It may have.
Yeah,
it may have, because when I looked up at the clock, it was like 1:30 when the fight was over. So you could be right.
Because that UFC card ended about 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
that ended right around 1 o'clock too.
You know what's funny? Bam is like 5'4", 67-inch reach. Inoue's 5'5", 67.5-inch reach. I don't know. Is this fight? I don't, because Inoue's not really excessively big himself either. He's not like a big bone. I don't know. It could happen. Inoue's 31, Bam's 24. So you think, I don't know, when Bam's like 26, maybe in 2 years it could happen. But I don't think. But they would have to meet like at 122. But Bam has Bam fought at 118? I don't think Bam's ever fought at 118. I think he's only fought at 112 and 115, if I'm not mistaken. Bam hasn't even fought at 118 yet, so I don't even know.
Yeah, I was going to say he's 2 weight classes above him. Because he's still got to go to 118. And for everybody who says, well, it's only 7 pounds difference, trust me, it's it's a world of difference. Yeah. It is a world of difference.
Sorry.
115 to 118 is a world of difference. That's why they have 112 to 115 to 118 is a world of difference.
Will Bam ever end up at 122? Yeah. 126? I don't know.
122, I think so.
Let's not forget. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Inoue was a flyweight at 1.2. He turned pro. Inoue turned pro at 108. So,
South Crack TV has obviously been using some of his own product. Said that Inoue got dropped by a tomato round 1. Neri is no tomato.
No, he's not a tomato.
Neri is definitely no tomato.
Yeah. So Inoue turned pro at 108. He's won titles at 112.
Yeah. And he's been in some tough fights. The Neri fight was a tough one for him, I thought. I thought who was the other Filipino guy? No, Donaire. Donaire was another tough one, that first Donaire fight.
Yeah. Actually, Inoue did not. I don't think he did win a title at 112. I think he won a title at 108, 115, and 122.
Inoue?
Yeah.
Or Bam?
No, I'm talking about Inoue. Because Inoue turned pro at 108. He was a light flyweight.
Was he really 108? He was 108?
Yeah, he won a title at 108.
Okay.
115, 118, and 122. But he didn't win a title at 112. I stand corrected. Sorry if I remember correctly. Yeah, so he won a title at 108, 115, and 118 and 122. Yeah, he skipped 112. He went from 108 to 115. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, he sure did. I'm looking at his record right now. Yeah. Why? That's weird that he skipped 112.
Skip 112.
Jeez.
Crazy.
Insane, man. That guy is just insane. What a resume already. That guy's a first ballot already. Inoue ducked John Rael Casimero.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that either. We got some Inoue haters in the chat, I think.
So Bam turned pro at 105. And he had some fights at 108. So I don't know. I guess because Bam's younger than Inoue. Inoue kind of ran through the weight classes higher because he started a little earlier, obviously. But I don't know. It's not crazy to think that Bam could go to 122. He had the same career path virtually as Inoue, right? They both turned pro. Inoue turned pro at 105, and then Inoue turned pro at 108, excuse me, and Bam turned pro at 105. But for the most part, early on, they were both fighting at 108 pounds. It's funny because Manny Pacquiao turned pro at? Who was he? 105 too? How much was Manny Pacquiao when he turned pro?
I thought he was right around 105 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what weight Manny turned pro at. Was he 105 or 108?
Let me look it up real quick.
I'm curious. I know he turned pro very light. Let me see how much he weighed when he turned pro. Yeah, 106.
106.
Yeah, 106.
Yep, 106.
Turned pro, 106.
Did you hear
Crazy.
he's fighting again?
Yeah, I heard he may fight Mario Barrios.
Stop it. Why?
No, Manny was 106, guys. We just checked.
Yeah, we just checked it. Yeah, I don't understand that.
Yeah,
Like,
so
why
Bam,
would you fight Mario Barrios?
So I guess it's not ridiculous for Bam to at some point maybe, but I don't know because I don't know I don't know if Inoue should go to 126. I think 122 is good.
I think so too. And I think there's a lot of money for him there. You know. Drew says Barrios is a winnable fight for Pac. I was thinking that same thing.
I think so too. But Barrios is tall and long.
Yeah, but Pacquiao, guys, man, come on.
Pacquiao's old, bro.
We're talking about the Pacquiao. We're not talking about the Pacquiao of 10, 15 years ago. We're talking
he didn't.
Who was his last one? Ugas? When was that? In 2021. Guys, that was 3 years ago. And he looked like hot garbage in that fight.
He didn't look good against
he didn't look good at all. He lost every round.
Yeah, he didn't look good against Ugas.
He looked terrible.
He did not look good.
HLD says, man, he spent a lot of his money on a failed presidential run. Yeah, that was dumb, man. I tell you, going against Marcos, didn't Marcos that won it? Part of the Marcos family or something like that?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Pacquiao's still a senator, though, so.
Yeah, and then Barrios and Norman Jr. are the weakest at 146. I get it. I get that. But you're talking about a guy, again, who's coming back from 3 years and didn't look good when he trained full-time against Ugas. Yeah. He didn't look good at all. Pac-Man didn't train for Ugas. Yes, he did, guys. Come on. Yes, he did.
I mean,
train.
Why would he not train?
Why would he not train for that fight? Right.
He's always been a hard worker. He's never slacked off.
Yeah.
So
you never heard him slacking off in training.
No.
So him and
Mayweather, they never lost a fight because they didn't train.
Right. I agree with that. Because they always came in shape. Always. All right, let's talk about the undercard here. Sonny Edwards versus Adrian Curiel. Sonny Edwards beats Curiel by a tech decision. Scores were 90-82, 88-84, and 87-85, all for Edwards. Edwards actually suffered a cut earlier in the fight, which is why it was stopped. Beeb, you have an interesting take on this.
Yeah, so this is why it's important to have a good corner in there, and I don't want to, be disrespectful to Tim Tszyu's corner, but in this fight, Edwards got headbutted. He had a cut like right here. It was a long cut, and it got longer as the fight wore on, and the blood was going right into his eye. And his corner asked the referee to look at it. Like, they made sure that they got the referee's attention to have the fight doctor look at it. They asked the referee to have the doctor look at his cut, and doctor was opening it up. It was a bad cut, and they stopped the fight. So the corner really matters. You have to have a really good corner, and that can make all the difference in the world. It goes without saying. And I just think Tim Tszyu's corner should have done something like that, in that fight, where he lost his titles with Fondora. I definitely think that they should have done something. They should have asked the referee to have the doctor check the cut, and then Tim Tszyu should have just told the referee, "Hey, listen, I can't see," and told the doctor, "I can't see." So the corner's got to be a little bit vigilant when it comes to situations like that, because Tim Tszyu was winning that fight handily before that cut, and that cut changed everything, and he lost his title when he probably could have won that fight on a technical decision after 7 rounds. That fight should not have gone past the 7th round. So in this case, this cut happened, I want to say, in maybe the 7th or 8th round, I think. And, before the start of the 9th round, like you said, they had the doctor look at it and they stopped the fight. They weren't going to mess around with that. Because you could clearly see the cut was getting bigger, and the blood was getting worse, and his vision was becoming more and more impaired. And he was in there with a big puncher too. So getting hit with a shot you don't see against a guy like Curiel, he can put the lights out on you. So again,
anybody,
the corner's got to step up in those situations. And this is a prime example of what should have happened in the Tim Tszyu fight. So my hat goes off to the corner.
One of the questions is Keith Thurman retired? I don't know. I don't know that he is, but he's not officially announced it if he is, but he's kind of announcing it by not fighting anybody too. Samrondo says, yeah, Tim Tszyu's quarter failed him. I believe so. I believe we had talked about that when it happened. And it was great to see another corner handle it the way it should be handled.
Yeah. So this is the prime example of what Tim Tszyu's corner should have done, in my opinion.
Right. 100%. 100%. All right, let's move it over to ESPN. Teofimo Lopez versus Steve Claggett. Teofimo Lopez wins by unanimous decision, 120-108 on two cards, 119-109 on the other one. Listen, Teofimo won every single round here. I don't know of a round that you could have given Claggett, but I think we've just become more accustomed of seeing, expecting more out of Lopez. When he gives us something like this, it's just okay. I think we always want to see that spectacular performance like he did against Josh Taylor or, Lomachenko or anybody, you know what I mean? We always want to see that. Where has that guy been? And they said that he's been as calm as usual. He's not like, he wasn't hyped up this time. He wasn't, and he won every round. It's hard to criticize. You can't.
I guess.
I just expect a knockout. I expect him to dispose of these guys. This is a showcase for you. A showcase for you,
I guess because the expectation's so high when you're thought of as the number one or number two guy in there, and you're in there with such a huge underdog in Claggett. I think this is the problem with Teo. What I've noticed that he's just gotten away from his jab. He's not using his jab at all. And another thing too is he just doesn't look as sharp and as explosive as he used to at 135. It's like he's not in this fight. He won every round, but outside of like 2 rounds where he really dominated in, he was just nicking the rounds. A lot of the shots he was landing, they weren't really landing flush. He was fighting on the inside too much with Claggett, and Teo's really not a good inside fighter. He's more of a mid-range guy. And when you go back to that Lomachenko fight, where you really see him using that jab effectively, that jab was the key to that fight. It was beautiful.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Keeping him on the outside with it. And in this fight, he spent too much time up close, and instead of using the jab to try to keep Claggett out, out of the pocket, he was letting him come in, but then he was like trying to shrug him with the shoulder. And a lot of those punches, like I said, weren't landing flush, and the ones that did land flush didn't have a hell of a lot of effect. And in some of these punches, he really wasn't turning them over. And when you land a punch, you want to land with those first 2 knuckles.
Yep.
And a lot of those shots, they just weren't landing with the meat of the fist, the meat of the glove, and you could see that, right? And he was getting smothered a lot in there too. And he did land some good uppercuts sparingly in there, but
yeah,
he just couldn't do anything to stop Claggett from coming forward. And even he had to throw a lot more punches than normal, and he couldn't be the counter puncher here. He had to throw a lot of punches to try to fight Claggett off him instead of boxing more, using the jab and trying to fight it at range and keeping his distance here. He really had to grind it out on the inside, and the fight was a little bit sloppy at points. It looked like kind of like a sparring session, but
yeah.
I don't know. There just seems that spark just seems to be missing a little bit, right? This is the type of guy that you want to get out of there. And his face was a little puffy at the end of the fight, so he was getting hit with some good right hands himself, getting hit with some good body shots. Make no mistake about it, he did win every round. But again, sometimes even when you're winning every round, if you're just eking these rounds out and you're not dominating. I mean, you're dominating the fight in rounds, but you're just it just looked like a sparring session, and it's not supposed to look like a sparring session, with all due respect, when you're in there with a guy like Claggett.
It was a showcase fight.
Yeah, and when you land a flush shot, he didn't. A lot of the shots weren't flush, like I said, but a few of them were, and even those clean shots really weren't having a lot of effect. So I don't know, if Teo just didn't carry the power up to 140. I don't know if he's, losing a little bit off his fastball. He just doesn't look as explosive and dynamic recently, especially at 140, than he has at 135. I missed that Teo that I saw against Vasily Lomachenko, where he boxed very well. This was a cerebral Teofimo Lopez who had a great game plan. It was methodical tactics in there. And I just don't see a guy that has a game plan anymore. I just see a guy who's going in there and winging it now.
Yeah, I agree. But I think, maybe some of that could be done maybe due to the fact that it's not a big name opponent. Maybe he's one of those guys that needs a big name. He needs to have that spark. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you're not going to have it against Claggett. You're not.
And I thought he lost that last fight against Jermaine Ortiz. I had Jermaine Ortiz eking that out 115 and 113. That was not a great performance either. So he's been up and down. Again, a guy like Liam Paro, who's really quick on his feet, a guy who can fight on the outside, inside, a guy who can fight at all ranges, but is particularly really good on the inside. That I think Paro would give Teofimo Lopez fits. Even Devin Haney, if he's anything what he was before the Ryan fight, I think Devin Haney could beat Teo.
That's a big ask right now. That's a big ask right now.
But yeah, Liam Paro, Isak Cruz, another great inside fighter who's pretty quick on his feet.
I think Teo's way too big for him.
I think he's too big.
I think he's too big. Yeah.
I mean, styles make fights, and Teo does not like that inside game. And even,
I think that jab. I think that if
he uses it,
right?
If he uses it, that's the thing. He doesn't always use it.
Who is his dad is still in his corner.
Still in his corner.
Is he bringing in any other trainers or anything like that, man? Because that is such a bad
They used to have Joey Gamach in there, but I don't think they can afford to bring other people in the camp.
Yeah, I
don't know.
I think you might be right. They're not cheap, man. That's for sure.
I mean, you got to understand. I don't want to start counting this guy's pockets, but he's supporting his family, his father, mother, son, and his wife. So it's tough when you got to do all that.
Yeah. I would just like to see him in. Is he talking about going to 147?
He wants to fight Crawford. I think he'll get eaten alive.
Oh, he'll get killed. He doesn't have any power.
He'll get eaten alive
at 140. You're not knocking anybody out at 140. You're not hurting anybody at 140. So you're going to go up to 147 for what?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Stop it. And again, man, I don't know where he goes from here. Yeah, I think Devin Haney is a good fight for him. Ryan Garcia is a good fight for him. There's lots of good fights for him. Interesting fights for him. But, some of those guys are on the other side of the pond. So who knows? Who knows how it goes? Yeah. I don't anticipate anybody from Saudi calling him up anytime soon.
No.
He's not a superstar. He's not, could have been a superstar. That loss, I tell you, the loss in Australia, that hurt him the most against Kambosos.
And he hadn't looked great since then.
No, he hasn't. He has not looked like the same dude since then. And he should have ate Kambosos up. He really should have.
Another guy that may give him problems is Jack Catterall. Another slick, crafty guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Who's Catterall fighting next? Who was they? I was real excited about that fight.
Regis Prograis.
That's it. That's a good fight.
Regis Prograis.
That is a solid fight. Yeah, he did look good against Josh Taylor. Talking about Teofimo. Yeah, he did. He surprised everybody because I sure didn't think he was beating Josh Taylor.
Richard Hitchens would be a tough fight for Teo. There's some tough fights for him at 140.
Yeah, Teo did walk right through him. I did. I had Taylor in that fight. I thought Taylor was going to walk him.
Yeah.
Robesi Ramirez versus Brandon Leon Benitez. Ramirez wins by 7th round TKO. Listen, man, he won the fight, won by K. I get it. And there's talk that he may rematch whoever beat him last time. Who was it? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Espinosa?
Espinosa, that's what it was.
Yeah, Espinosa.
Look, man, when I've seen Ramirez now for a while now. I've seen him. We've all watched him come up. We've watched him, debut in a loss and everything like that.
Yeah.
There is nothing about this guy that stands out to me. Nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
He was a great amateur. I mean, won the gold, beat Shakur, everything. Like, get it, and I think that might have been a second gold medal if I'm not mistaken, but I don't know. Beat Shakur in the amateurs. This guy has not shown that pro style. He just doesn't have it. Yeah. And he is a middle of the road pro fighter at best. At best. I don't see, like I said, man, I see no avenue where this guy becomes a great fighter, a solid champion, defending it 4 or 5 times. He may, and like I said, he won the belt, so he can call himself a champion, or he didn't win the belt. Or did he? Was he a champion when Espinosa beat him?
He was a champion, yeah.
Okay. But there was listen, man, I understand it. His household, he calls himself the champ, but everybody else, not so much. He's just not the same. He's not cut from that. He's not a pro style. This is what happens though when people stay in that amateur program too long. I look at Rasheed Warren. He was one of them, I think, who stayed in there too long. Lomachenko is the only real guy that you could say, hey, he came out, he was in there 2 or 3 times or whatever, and he came out and he's done what he's done. But that's few and far between.
It's a big difference.
Zukan, remember Zukan, 2-time, yeah.
It's a big difference, obviously, fighting 3 rounds as opposed to 12 rounds.
Howard Davis, another Olympian who just couldn't, wasn't the same.
Yeah, Mark Breland was a good pro, but he was a much better amateur than he was pro.
Mark Breland. Who's Mark Breland? Who knows who that guy is, huh?
Oh my God!
Only one of the best.
We can never forget that one. That'll be etched in history forever.
Right.
I should make a ringtone out of that.
It was Mark Breland.
Who's Mark Breland?
And I don't know if you know this or not, but Nico Ali Walsh, who you may not know, this is the grandson of Muhammad Ali. How about that? I mean, there's a fun fact for tonight because nobody knows that because they don't say it 50,000 times. Walsh beat Sona Akali, or Akali, we'll call him Akali. Sona Akali, 58-55, 57-56 twice. Walsh also dislocated his shoulder during the final round. And unlike Klitschko, he actually finished this fight.
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh, I went there.
Show some respect.
Hey, just saying. I mean, he didn't, his shoulder got hurt. He gutted it out, finished the fight. And that was a guy he had a loss to. So he came back and avenged that loss. So good for him. Let's go to that was pretty much it for this weekend. Let's go to the schedule here. July 6th. Remember, we got July 4th weekend or week coming up. July 4th is what, Thursday?
Nice barbecue July 4th. I'm looking forward to it, man.
I hear it, man. I hear it.
Some baby backs, baby.
I hear that, man.
Lois is going to be on the grill.
Stupid. July 6th in Brick City, Newark, New Jersey. ESPN and ESPN Plus. Shakur Stevenson versus Artem Hartunian. 12 rounds for Stevenson's WBC lightweight title. On the undercard, the co-main, Oshaki Foster versus Robson Consacao for Foster's WBC junior lightweight title. That's a good fight. That's a really good fight.
It's a good fight.
Keyshawn Davis versus Miguel Madueno. 10 rounds lightweights. And let me see if there's anybody else on there. Abdullah Mason versus Luis Lebron. 8 rounds lightweights. That'll be a good fight. Yeah, that's pretty much it for there. In Anaheim, California, Beeb, in case anybody's wants to check this out. Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal. I guess they're boxing 10 rounds light heavyweights. There you go. Daniel Jacobs making a return against Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley Jr., that is. 10 rounds, super middleweights.
It's not a bad fight.
It's not a bad fight. It's not a bad fight. Chris Avila versus Anthony Pettis, 6 rounds light heavyweights. And a couple of other people I've never heard of. So there you go. Some mixed MMA guys in there with some boxers. There you go. Ontario, California, July 6th on the Zone. William Zepeda versus Giovanni Cabrera, 12 rounds lightweights. Let's talk about Shakur Stevenson here real quick. Shakur Stevenson is going to win this fight. Probably going to win it by a decision. A wide decision would be my guess. I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah.
In fact, that's probably the bet I'll make.
Yeah.
B, what comes after this?
Well, Steve Kim did say this before, and I agreed with him 110%. In order for this guy to get the big names in there, he's going to have to probably lower his price tag a little bit. He's going to have to make concessions because
he's not a marquee fighter.
He just doesn't have the leverage that he would like to think that he has. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but he just doesn't. And if he's going to fight a Lomachenko, if he's going to fight a Tank Davis, any of these guys, even a Teofimo Lopez, he's going to have to make concessions because no one's banging down the door to see this guy fight. They're just not doing it.
No, and in fact, I mean, even though this is, I'm more interested in the co-main here with Foster and Katakau. I'm more interested in that fight than I am the main event.
Yes.
Because that main event is going to be a wash. It's going to be him with his track shoes on, throwing 50,000 jabs until the bell rings.
Yeah.
And listen, he's good. All right. And I want to see him against better opposition.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, again, he's not worth it right now.
No.
None of the big names are going to fight because he's just not worth it. He's just not worth the money. Cannot sell out arenas.
Yeah, Tank and Loma are going to be fighting. I think that fight will happen.
I think that fight's going to happen too.
And if he wants to fight the winner of that, again, they're going to have 2 belts. Both those guys are bigger names than him, especially Tank. So he can't get, obviously I'm not going to tell someone how to negotiate their own fight. I mean, but if he tries to be a little too tough in the negotiations, then that, it is what it is. Like, again.
Yeah. For sure.
Loma and Tank will have leverage over him. A lot of these big name fighters will have leverage over him. Mm-hmm. And if he wants to become a free agent like Devin Haney, and then he's gonna start complaining like Devin Haney is about why am I only getting offered $1.5 million? Well, again, when you guys like Devin Haney and guys like Shakur Stevenson, when they roll the dice and become free agents, given the that the fact that they don't draw big numbers like Tank does, and even Loma's has drawn big numbers in certain big fights himself. Him and Teo, that was a fight that was watched by 4 million people. So again, people are interested in Lomachenko, right? The guy's a legend, but again, guys like Devin and Shakur, guys want to roll the dice. You want to test the market. Do it at your own peril because, again, you may not be getting these $3 million paydays like you want. And then these $3 million paydays, when you're out there in the free market trying to bargain, fight per fight, you're going to see that the $3 million is going to go down to $1 million, $1.5 million. And it's not going to be easy out there. And Bob Arum said it. Like he was talking to Eddie Hearn about Shakur Stevenson. And, Eddie Hearn told Bob Arum, Bob Arum said, "What do you think about Shakur?" He goes, "You think you can sign him? Think you're going to sign him?" He goes, "Yeah, but if I do, I'm not going to pay him what you're paying him."
That's the thing,
right? That's the thing. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and again, man, he's just not the most. Nobody's clamoring to watch him fight. You know what the move for Shakur would be? Is to fight Devin Haney. That would be the move. Yeah. Because Devin Haney's coming off a loss. I don't care what his record says. The world saw him get dominated in that fight.
Yeah.
Shakur could absolutely, I think Shakur could beat him.
Because I'll be honest with you, I'm not so sure the winner of Tank versus Loma is going to want to fight him.
For what? For what?
You know? Unless Loma wins and decides he wants to go out becoming an undisputed champion, you know? I don't think Loma was ever undisputed champion. I think he had 3 of the belts. He never had all 4 of them.
And what about, listen, man, I think a lot is going to hinge on this fight Saturday. I really do. I don't know how much he has left on that contract with Top Rank.
I think this is his last fight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and a lot's going to hinge on this. Because if he wins and he looks like Teofimo doing it, they're not keeping him. They'd be stupid to keep. For what?
They may re-sign him, but maybe not for the money he wants.
No.
They can't keep losing money on the guy.
No, that's the thing. I mean, you can't be winning. I mean, listen, Top Rank let Crawford go, right? They let Crawford go. You think they're going to hold on to Shakur?
I mean, obviously they're using ESPN. They're using ESPN's money, obviously, but they want to put that money to good use against someone where they can get a return on their investment. You know? So
I Am Your Leader says Bam is more skilled than Shakur. Well, they're in 2 pretty different weight divisions, so it's hard to tell.
I like Bam better than Shakur.
I like Bam better than Shakur too. Now, was he more skilled? I think we can definitely argue that one.
Sure.
But I'd much rather. But I'll tell you this: is what's not arguable.
Yeah.
Who would you pay to see?
Well, again, skill.
Bam or Shakur?
Oh, Bam. Skill's a very subjective. Yeah, skill's a very subjective thing. It all depends on what you like.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. More skilled. I don't know. I could see Shakur easily doing it. I mean, you're talking about an Olympian guy.
Yeah.
You make the Olympic team and you come in with a silver medal.
Yeah.
Son, you got to have something behind you there. That's not just what skill do you see? I just told you. Speed, defense. Yeah. Yeah. He's very technical.
I don't particularly like watching him fight, but I can't say the guy doesn't know how to fight.
Right. Would you in front of him, who wins? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Beeb.
I had a dream one time. I got in an argument with him and we actually threw down.
You and Shakur?
Yeah.
Did you wake up and apologize?
I tried to tackle him, but I couldn't catch him.
He didn't even try to stand up with him. He tried to tackle him.
You know what happened? Because I was watching one of the fights one day, and I actually legitimately did fall asleep because it was late at night.
Right.
But I was listening to the the post, listening to him talk before. They show the little clips and stuff of them talking before the fight, whatever. And I just hearing him say all these crazy things. So I'm going to sleep. I'm like having that dozing off, envisioning him
you got the TV on.
Yeah, and I had the TV on, and I had a dream that I just kind of went up. We had an argument, or whatever, and I tried to tackle him, and I couldn't catch him.
I love that you tried to tackle him. That was your first go-to. That was your first go-to move. Was just I got to wrap this dude up because I know.
Yeah. I hate how he talks so tough all the time. Of course, I'm not saying I could beat him up or anything, but he talks so tough all the time, and he doesn't fight like he talks.
Right. That's a very good point.
Oh, I'm from Brick City. I'm this, I'm that, I'm whatever. And then I see him then I see him hitting girls and shit in street, he's getting in street fights and he's hitting girls. I'm like, I don't know. This guy ain't really all about it.
Yeah, man. DGO 82 says the U.S. Olympic team has been trashed for decades. That's kind of a harsh statement, man. I don't know. It's I wouldn't exactly say it's been trash. I would definitely say less than stellar. Put it that way.
Less than stellar, yeah.
Less than stellar. Because really, how many of those guys have really come in and overtaken the pro ranks too?
Yeah,
not too many.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I think we were looking about it. I think me and Antonio were looking at this, man. The Olympic team, I think they got 3 or 4 women going or something like that, and maybe 3 men. They remember how the division 84 was stacked, 78 stacked.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened?
I know.
You know what I mean? They're not even investing in those guys to get. Every weight class we used to have somebody.
I think they're saying they're letting the pros go now too, if they want to go.
Yeah, Duke Reagan is on his way back, I believe.
I don't like that.
It's just so dumb. Why would you? Why?
I don't like that.
Because I want another shot at the gold medal. Son, you got money, you got belts in front of you, and you're chasing this? Stop. You know? And I'll tell you, Duke Reagan's not doing his career any good. I'll be honest, man. He's not. I don't believe he is. I mean, again, I'm not his manager, but
I don't like it.
Because you're fighting, again, it's a different sport. It's a different sport. And I don't know when do the Olympics start? A couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
And let me tell you what, Summer Olympics every 4 years, my favorite time of the year, because again, we get to look at all the amateurs. We'll watch all the fights. We'll break them down. And hopefully a U.S. guy will be in there. Hopefully we get somebody to go, man, and he can be in the medal round at least. Yeah.
Who's going to be on the basketball team?
Oh man, I mean,
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, I gotta check that out too. I don't know.
What do you think of the Lakers signing LeBron James's son?
We were cracking up about that because you know what? I mean, it's just a bad move. Now, PR wise, it's a great move. Okay. Basketball wise, it's a horrible move. PR wise, it's a great move.
Yeah.
Because it will fill that arena. I mean, it would be sold out standing room only.
Has a father and son ever played on the same team?
No. Not at the same time, you know? So, yeah, I mean, as far as, PR-wise, great move. Ticket sales, great move.
Yeah.
It's a waste of a pick otherwise. It really was.
Yeah.
Really was a waste of a pick. And as a Pistons fan, Detroit didn't do much better either. They took a guy who was just out of high school, played 1 year in the NBA G, and was struggling there. And they say, yeah, you know what? With our pick, that's what I want, that guy.
Not everyone can be the Boston Celtics, man.
You can say that again. I'll tell you that. And I don't know who they got in the draft. I don't know who they got in the draft.
We are the champions,
Check
my
this out.
friend.
Now check this out. You want to hear something crazy? Where's the next hotbed of basketball for the second straight year in a row in the NBA's? The first round draft pick last year, the first round draft pick this year came from France.
Wow.
How about that?
And the NBA is really becoming an international game.
It really is. It really is. All right, let's go to 530. Robert.
Hello, guys.
Hi, Robbie.
Hello, guys.
How you doing, Bobby?
Well, it was such a breath of fresh air to watch ESPN last night and not hear Timothy Bradley. Thank God for that.
Whoa.
I thought El Jerry did a good job.
Yeah, El Jerry's way better than Tim Bradley.
Did a really good job.
He's way better than Bradley.
They need to put Bradley on permanent.
Did you write into ESPN? ESPN and complain, Robert?
You bet. You bet.
Bring your son to work day. About Bronny, bring your son to work day.
That's funny.
Well, that is absolutely ridiculous. They just want to make his dad happy. The Lakers are stupid for doing that.
Right.
But on the boxing, Bam Rodriguez was the highlight of the whole weekend, man. That's somebody I'll pay to see anytime he fights. I mean, it's not going to be too far down the road that he's going to be on a pay-per-view somewhere, and he's going to be worth the price of admission.
Yeah, I agree. Robert, what do you think of? Go ahead.
And I don't. Go ahead, Eric. Ask the question. I'm sorry.
Where does Teofimo go from here?
Well, he said before the fight, I didn't hear the interview after the fight, but he said before the fight, he wanted to go up to 147. He's not effective at 140. He's going to get killed.
Yeah.
You put him in against Boots, forget it.
Oh, God.
I mean, no chance. Look, I'm not high on Lopez. I'm not high on Shakur. I think Top Rank's going to cut Stevenson loose, and Shakur is going to find the same reality that Devin Haney is discovering. Their styles are not going to make them money. And Haney was so disgusted with Top Rank's purse bid that they won with the Sando Martin fight that he gave up his title. He's now champion in Reset.
You know what, though? I tell you what. Let's talk about that for a second here, because he was really disgusted about that. He's got nobody to blame but himself. He's the one coming off a loss. He's the one that looked like hot garbage in his last fight.
That's right.
And the title is supposed to mean something now.
That's right.
Everybody saw what happened.
Yeah.
You lost. You lost clear. You lost badly. It wasn't even close, guys. There's not one case you can make where Haney won the fight. Not one.
And no promoter in their right mind is going to invest any kind of money into Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson. Now, Joe suggested they fight each other. Yeah, I agree, and I think that would be a good fight.
Eric said it. Eric said they should fight each other. Not me.
I said it.
I don't want to see them fight.
Give me some depth. Acknowledge me.
But who's gonna invest in that? Who's gonna, it'll be a good fight, but who's gonna want to promote that?
What if they put it on pay-per-view? Would you buy it, Robbie?
Oh yeah, he's buying it. Of course, he's buying it.
No. Well, it would depend on the undercard. My new philosophy as far as pay-per-view goes, if His Excellency doesn't have his name on it, I don't want to buy it.
His Excellency.
Come on.
Wow.
Please, Robbie.
Robert, let me ask you this. Shakur Stevenson, his last fight with Top Rank, we believe, is this weekend. Given that.
That's correct.
He's fighting a, not exactly a whirlwind in Artem Hartunian.
No.
Let me ask you, does he have to win impressively in order for, or will Top Rank re-sign him?
But, he has to win by knockout or, something impressively. If he does these normal 36-minute track meets like he did on November 16th, no, Bob Aaron and Todd DeBuff and that crew, they're going to keep their money in their pocket. The best fight on that card is the co-main event. Shockey Foster and Conceição.
Yeah,
that's going to be
a good fight.
Good fight.
That's a really good fight.
Really good.
That should have been the main event.
Yeah. In Newark, have him on the co-main.
Brick City. Rob, you ever been to Brick City before? They probably fold you up like a lawn chair.
The one.
You've been to Brick City, B?
The one guy.
Oh, yeah, actually.
Austin, baby.
When I was in the military, I was in like Fort Dix for AIT training. And I drove through Brick City. They were like 14-year-olds, like standing on the corner, doing the business.
Yeah.
He was a little nervous, man. He rolled the windows up. Rob, you ever go to Brick City?
No, I have not. But the one guy at the 135-pound division that nobody is talking about,
transitions right over,
who actually has the potential to actually fill up seats, is going to be William Cepeda. I mean,
but this guy's not fighting anybody. You don't want to fight anybody. What's De La Hoya doing with this guy?
Well, I blame that on Joe. I blame that on Oscar De La Hoya.
Me too.
I blame that on De La Hoya. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
That's De La Hoya's fault.
All right, Robert, we're going to get running here.
Later, Bobby.
Bobby, stop it. Let's go to Jerry 410. You're live. Baltimore, I am king.
Hi, Gerald.
What's up, ladies?
How you doing, Gerald?
Last week, when we got off the phone, I honestly went in the backyard, ran underneath the sprinkler. I had to pull off, and I got second-degree burns from the absolute scorching.
No, you got torched.
Wonk.
You got torched, man. I felt bad. You know what I did?
Know, right?
You know what I did?
Yeah,
I'll tell you exactly what I did. The next day, I went to church at 5 a.m, and I went to confession, and I said, I just murdered somebody, your father.
I just murdered an elderly man.
I just murdered somebody. How many Hail Marys and Our Fathers do you want me to, say for this one?
It was
I lit a candle for you and everything. I lit a candle for you. I actually lit a candle for you. That's how bad I felt for you.
And you know what? That's Beeb, though. That is Beeb. That is pure Beeb, pure heart, baby. I love it, Beeb.
Yeah.
Lit a candle for him.
Well, it was an absolute fathering, and I feel a responsibility. Like my old man, when I did wrong, he would not just give me the whooping. He'd give me a little lecture on the lesson to be learned.
Everybody in the chat, hit the motherfucking like button.
Sorry, Jerry, you just started cutting it today. Get to the point, man. Come on.
Yeah, well,
it's just boring.
Stop filibustering.
The
Let's
lesson
go.
to be learned is, dude, the next time you open your mouth to pretend that you know something that you know nothing about, which is probably going to be the very next time that you open your mouth, just be a little preemptive, son, and say, listen, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but this is what I think.
So,
do you have a point in calling? Yeah, do you have a point today?
Explain to me what
as
is
well
your
as you did last week. As well as you did last week.
Explain to me what proof you have that I don't know what I'm talking about. Because Amir Khan had the same substance and tested positive for it, and Kell Brook knocked his ass out. So that tells you that the stuff.
Okay.
So that tells you that stuff is really shitty.
I mean, if you would allow me to speak, I'll tell you the first thing that you don't know. The first thing that you start screaming, how long does it take to metabolize ostarine, Jerry?
You need to cycle it.
You know, because I know. You know, because I know. But if you knew the first thing, you would know. People don't metabolize it.
Listen, we're not metabolize. Yeah, we're not going to go at the same time. Jerry, come on, give me something new here.
Jerry.
So see, but that's the thing. You don't want to hear because you don't know the first thing.
Can I explain something to you, Jerry?
No, of course,
I'm going to make one last point. Jerry, I'm going to make one last point on it. First of all, there's been studies to show that it actually lowers testosterone, but let's say it does work. For it to work,
it's not a steroid.
It's not a steroid. It's a SARM. It's a SARM. It's a selective androgen.
I know it's not a steroid.
It's a
SARM. You don't seem to know that because you were screaming about how you did steroids.
No, I said I did PEDs, Jerry. I took clenbuterol before. I took ephedra.
Steroid.
Hey, did you lose weight on clenbuterol?
Anyone can hear it.
No, I said Jerry. Eric, did I say I took steroids or PEDs? I said PEDs. I said PEDs. No, I said I've never taken a steroid in my life, Jerry. Jerry,
we're close.
I've never taken a steroid in my life.
Cutting this off because this is boring.
I've never taken a steroid in my life. I've taken PEDs before. Clenbuterol, ephedra, yerba mate. I've taken stimulants before. I've never taken a steroid.
Well, you shouldn't have said so. I
did. I said PEDs, Jerry. I said PEDs. That is not a steroid. That's a PED.
Okay, well,
let me just. This is the last point I'm going to make. So, in order for that to work, you have to
make it factual.
No, I will make it factual. In order for that to work, you have to take it. It's called a cycle for a reason, Jerry. You have to take it for 6 weeks, right? And an effective dose is in between 15 to 30 milligrams, right? So when you buy it, it's usually in 10 milligrams or it's in 15 milligram tabs. So you can't microdose a tablet. When they say microdose, they mean when you microdose testosterone. So instead of taking 400 cc's of testosterone, that's fast acting. What microdosing means is instead of taking 400 cc's at once, you take 100 cc 4 times a week or 200 cc's twice a week, and you space it out. So because it's in and out of your system in 2 days. That's what microdosing is. You can't crush up a tablet. There's an effective dose for this. And as I said, it's 15 to 30 milligrams, and you have to cycle it. You have to take it. You just can't take it the week before the fight and get a benefit from it. You have to take it for a long period of time, 6 to 12 weeks, bare minimum 6 weeks. So if he passed all of his...
Nobody's debated that.
I
never debated that one iota. I'm telling you is people don't metabolize at the same rate. What might take me 3 days to metabolize?
Guys, this is boring. Guys, I'm going to cut this. Jerry, hold on 1 second. Jerry, I'm going to put you on mute for 1 second. Guys, this is boring.
Yeah,
we already went through this. We already went through it.
It doesn't matter.
Like, why bring this back up? It doesn't matter, right?
It doesn't matter, Jerry.
All right, Jerry, I'm going to bring you back on with a new topic. Go ahead.
Now talk about this week's
Yeah, it
fights.
doesn't
You already
matter.
lost
Okay,
the
got
argument.
Yeah, talk about
You already
something else.
lost the
'cause,
argument. You
All
already
right.
lost. You already
we'll
lost
give
the
you a
argument.
rebuttal
Listen,
here,
I mean, you guys wrote the book. You wrote the book on boring. I
Blah,
guarantee you what I'm
blah,
saying is not
blah.
boring.
Trust me, it is. Trust me, it's very
Right.
boring.
Well, you tell me, what do you need a good schooling on? Because usually that's what it
I
comes
shouldn't have to
down
give you
I
the
have to
topics.
school
You're the
you
one
on
that calls
something.
in with. You see, you're the one that calls in
Jerry,
to talk about
you-
our topics.
when
He's
I-
confused at how this goes.
When you call
I'll tell
into
you
a
what.
show, Jerry, right? Usually you're supposed to have
Nah,
watched.
shut up, man. I ain't trying to hear it.
You're supposed to have watched the fights, and you're supposed to bring up.
951. You're live.
What a loser! Just wasted his call. Hello.
951 has dropped. All right. So does Jerry. Listen, man, he calls up, and what do you want me to do? Entertain you? Like, you're the one calling up. You're the one that wants something.
When everyone else
I don't want
calls
to
in,
rehash the same argument because
everyone
one of
else
you guys are
calls
going to
in-
move on it.
when everyone else calls in, they're ready. They talk
Right.
about the fights,
Right.
and they come prepared. What do you want to talk about? You called us.
Right. What do you want to talk about? I don't want to talk about anything.
We
you're the one
already-
that
we
called
already-
me.
we
We're
already-
talking now.
We already have a production team that gets paid very well to give us
That's
what
right.
we're supposed to talk about.
That's right.
We already have a production team. We already have the show notes that we're going to go over. We know what we're going to do. It's not our job to figure out what you're going to do. We're
Right,
not going to.
I
We don't
don't
have to write you a script.
I don't write Jerry's script.
What do you want to talk about? That's not my job to worry about what you want. What we want to talk
He's
about.
still
with
talking
you.
about stuff that happened like weeks ago. Like, dude, it's over.
Usually,
move forward.
Usually, when you're still sore about losing an argument, then you continue to bring it up again because you can't let it go.
Yep. That's it.
Everyone in the chat knows that you were wrong last week.
That is some beta vibes. I got to be honest. JC hit it right on the head,
It's like
man.
we're telling you that you have to cycle it and you have to take 15 to 30 milligrams. If you're taking 15 to 30 milligrams on a 6-week cycle, and then you're taking it the week of the fight, or you have it in your system the day before the fight, you're going to have more than trace amounts. Of course, everyone metabolizes it differently, but you can't take 15 to 30 milligrams of something and only have a billionth of a gram left in your system. The only way that happens is through contamination.
Listen, we all agree. I mean, at least you and I agree that we think that, it was contaminated, right? But it was still found in his system.
Yeah.
And we all agreed on this. We agreed it was found in the system, and we agreed the justice was carried out correctly. A year off and, the decision reversed. Sure. That's it. So what else are we talking about here?
Jerry,
you know what I mean?
I'm wrong half the time. But this is the half time that I'm right.
Right.
I have no problem telling you I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be wrong. If I was right all the time, I wouldn't be working. I would just be collecting checks from fucking sports books. The house wins all the time. There's a reason. There's a reason why the house wins all the time, Jerry.
Now, I didn't see this. Some Rondo says that Dana White and his expert agree it was contamination too.
Because the same thing happened. The same thing happened.
Well,
John Jones.
I don't know if it was John Jones. I think he was definitely on something.
No, but who's the other guy there?
But when you talk about picograms, that was what he had in the system. Was trace amounts from before.
Sean O'Malley?
Yeah,
had the same issue, and they said it was contamination. There was a 14-year-old girl. I sent you that video where she bought the supplements, and they got the supplements tested, and they had the Ostarine in it, and she tested positive for Ostarine. So, again, it's a drug where there's been several cases where people have gotten it from ingesting contaminated supplements. If you go,
let me call Tony down here real quick.
If you go to the USADA website, they actually have a warning. Be careful. Be careful with your supplements. There's been contamination with Ostarine. They have like a warning message on the USADA website because of that.
Gotcha. Where's my son at here?
Jerry, again, not everyone metabolizes everything at the same rate. But if you only have a billion, you're not going to have a billionth of a gram if you're taking something exogenously, unless it's through contamination. It's the same thing with Canelo. They did when Canelo tested positive for clenbuterol, they determined it was through contamination, and they actually raised the allowable limit of clenbuterol. You can't have a picogram if you're taking the recommended dosage. And you're not going to have that little in your system. That is through contamination.
And Jerry should be arrested for murdering the English language. What in the world is he doing there? Tech me how every Bodu naturalizes at the same rate. You sound stupid, period. And moving the goal post. Come on, man. Jerry, pick it up, man. Come on. You use some spell check. Use something. Come on. Ryan never proved what supplement. Yeah, I believe he did, actually. I believe he did. Jerry has fat fingers. Yeah, I believe he did. Because I believe, didn't they test that supplement?
Yeah.
Yeah, they tested that supplement. So
and again, the supplement company is not suing Ryan for defamation.
Yeah.
So if why wouldn't they be? So it is what it is.
Didn't Sean O'Malley get busted for PEDs?
Ostarine. And it was through contamination.
No, for real?
Ostarine.
All right. Antonio said no, and he's a big Sean O'Malley fan.
I'll send you the article.
Yeah, send Antonio the article. All right, be gone. Get out of here. All right, your services are no longer required.
Read this article. Sean O'Malley, Ostarine. O'Malley gets banned for trace amounts of substance Ostarine. Here it is. I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Send it to me. I can
I'll send it right to you.
He can educate himself.
And then if you want to screen share it and explain this to Jerry, because again, this has happened.
You know what? I don't want to explain it to Jerry because Jerry has a computer and he's got Google just like
you know what it is. No matter what you say to him, though, he's not going to admit it because he has it's like cognitive dissonance.
I agree. He wants to win.
So read this, and it was determined that it was through contamination, and he only got a 6-month suspension.
Yeah. Let's see here. While we're on drugs, which is my favorite topic, Julio Cesar Martinez banned for failing a drug test. Former flyweight champion Martinez was suspended for 9 months by the Nevada State Athletic Commission after he tested positive for 3 banned substances, which were diuretics and some masking agents ahead of his March fight. A commissioned official told ESPN, my man Coppinger's on the case. That's who they told. Beeb. Cops, son. Deal with it. If Martinez completes a mandatory drug program successfully, he will be reinstated December 29th. There you go. That stuff has got to, is that running rampant? That's got to be running rampant in there. Georgie Porgy says, I ain't passing a VADA test. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I pass it or not. I don't know. Omar Rodriguez. Hey, check this out. Have you read you guys need to read the book of Sarms, I guess it's Sarms, in the Bible of PEDs. I didn't even know there was a Bible of PEDs. It shouldn't shock me though. He said it has all the information Jerry is quoting. I
had an encyclopedia of PEDs that you can buy one.
Why do you have that?
I had one. I don't have it anymore. I got rid of it.
Okay, so you took clenbuterol. Did you lose weight on that?
It does work, but you know what it does do? It makes you very, very nervous and jittery and stuff. It's the side effects are horrible. I wouldn't take it again. I took it when I was 25.
Raffaele 32, weed is about to recreational in Ohio before September. They passed it. It was done in December last year. So in Ohio, it's just a matter of finding it recreationally because still everything, I don't think the dispensaries are set up. They've got to have some kind of thing. I don't know that anybody's really interested in Ohio dispensaries. I'm just telling you about it from what I've heard. I don't know. This is just what I've heard. Don't partake. And again, maybe I don't. Maybe I do. Roy Jones Jr., some real sad news, man. This was messed up. Roy Jones Jr. took to social media to announce the passing of his son due to suicide. Quote, unfortunately, my son DeAndre took his own life on Saturday. I'm so thankful that God allowed me to come home Friday to spend the last night of his life with him, with me and the family. I know a lot of people are going through tough times right now, but nothing is worth taking your own life. God gives it. God should be the one to take it away. Please respect our privacy while my family and I process this loss. The thing is, man, and a lot of people don't really understand this unless you know somebody intimately with depression or anything like that, which is clearly what he had. Yeah, it's just, I can't even imagine. First of all, can't even imagine losing a child and then losing him in that way, or just any way. But that's a tough one, man. That really is a real tough one. But I will say, man, anybody with depression or anybody, again, who knows anybody or anything about depression, it's not a choice. It's really not a choice that he took his own life. It's not, he says, I got to end it. And that's that. That's the disease. Depression is a disease, and it's a very, very strong thing, and it really has to be managed correctly. And even then, there's not a lot. I mean, sometimes it doesn't work. It's just awful, just awful. I feel so bad for Roy Jones.
I felt horrible when I heard that news. It was really sad.
Yeah. It's just awful, man. Omar Rodriguez says they measure cholesterol in Nevada. Eric is effed in that sense. You got that right. Tell you what. Usyk vacates his IBF title. Alexander Usyk could not defend against the mandatory, who was Daniel Dubois, because he's contracted to face Tyson Fury again. So he can't, and they're not going to step aside for it. I don't think it's a big deal. You don't need the belt. You were undisputed champion. He's already punched his ticket to the Hall of Fame. So no big deal there. So what are they going to do with that IBF title? I'm glad you asked. Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois is set for Wembley, September 21st. The fight will be for the IBF title, and that I'm looking forward to it. The guy who quit against Joe Joyce versus Anthony Joshua Beeb. Who do you think gets this one? This is a good fight, though, no?
I'll be rooting for Daniel Dubois, but I think Joshua's probably going to knock him out.
I could argue that Daniel Dubois is the uncrowned champion.
I think he is, but it's not going to matter.
We could argue that, right?
Now this is an opinion. See, now Eric and I have an opinion. We're not saying it's fact. We have an opinion.
I always speak in pure fact, Beeb, but go ahead, please.
So we have an opinion.
Yeah, I think, you're right, man. I think that's going to be a good fight. I really do. That's going to be solid. If Dubois beats him, you think we get that rematch?
With Usyk?
If Usyk beats Fury, which we suspect he will.
He's not going to beat Fury. Fury's going to beat him.
Fury was in good shape for that fight.
Fury lost that fight by a point. He lost that fight by
everything he possibly could to beat him, and he didn't beat him.
So what? That's all we have rematches for. I believe in my cousin.
Your cousin? Since when?
It's my cousin, man. I ain't giving up on him.
He's your cousin. He's Lebanese too. Well, he's
fucking family. He's family.
He's family.
23andMe, man. You got to do the freaking blood test. He's got some Lebanese in him.
Unfortunately, not by blood.
Look at Sam Rando. Sam Rando. He knows Fury ain't beating Usyk in a rematch. That was a razor close fight. Come on,
stop.
I'm not giving up on Fury, man.
He's gonna stay. He might. I think.
The odds are tight. The odds are tight again. Fury's a plus 156.
Was that the fight of the year?
Can I tell you something? I may have to say it is. That was a great fight.
Listen, for all the marbles, something that hadn't been done in years, for those two to show up and do what they did, yeah, it's the fight of the year. I don't think anybody would disagree with that right now. If you're going up to June 30th, it's absolutely, and I do believe it'll hold. Something that big and that close. Remember the last one with Lennox Lewis? Remember Lennox Lewis and Vander Holyfield? That was the last big one.
One thing, I'm not happy about the belt being stripped from Usyk, but one thing I can say about the IBF, at least they're consistent. They did strip Crawford too. And when they strip Crawford, Boots Ennis is not a bad guy to have as your champion. And the winner of this fight will not be a bad fighter to have as your champion. And again, we all know that the real champion is Usyk, But again, these belts mean a lot to these, like the discussion we had before. I believe everyone knows who the real champion is, but these belts can be helpful to fighters in order for them to make money. Now, does Joshua need this belt to make money? No, but it kind of adds to him. You know, they could say he's a 3-time heavyweight champion. It adds to the marketing of Joshua. It adds to the story, whatever. But Usyk is the champion until someone beats him.
There you go.
My opinion.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Joe Habib on X at jhabib1, YouTube channels at ringsidereporterlive.com. You can find me on X at ringside73. Guys, be safe. It's a 4th of July weekend. Have a great time, man, but be safe. Watch those fireworks. And we're going to catch you guys next week, man. All right.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
That's right.
Alhamdulillah.